You might be familiar with the minus world. It's the most famous glitch in gaming history. In the original Super Mario Bros., if you clip into the wall at the end of 1-2, you can enter a warp pipe before it's properly loaded in. Instead of taking you to World 4 like normal, you're taken to World -1. It's an underwater stage that resembles level 7-2 from the main game. Now, the minus world itself isn't the most exciting level, just your standard water stage, and when you get to the end, you're sent right back to the start. It loops forever, with no actual end. The minus world appears in nearly all re-releases of Super Mario Bros. And is identical in most of them. But there's one huge exception. In 1986, a year after the game's release, it was ported to Nintendo's new add-on in Japan, the Famicom Disk System. And while the minus world is present, it is totally different. There's not just -1, but also -2 and -3, glitched out levels that actually have ends. And in addition to being way cooler, it makes for an amazing speedrun. Players have competed with each other to get to the end of -3 as quickly as possible. They've found some brilliant strategies to do so, and it's led to one of the most optimized speedruns of all time. Let's take a look at how we got there. This is the crazy history of minus world ending speedruns. And now a word from this video's sponsor, Rocket Money. Earlier this year, I signed up for a streaming service just to watch one show. I meant to cancel it right away, but I forgot, and months later, I realized I'd been throwing money away. I bet that's happened to you before too, and if so, you should be using Rocket Money. Rocket Money is the personal finance app that lets you cancel subscriptions, lower bills, and manage your money better. I like Rocket Money for canceling unwanted subscriptions. They safely and securely identify recurring charges and cancel subscriptions. You just tap a couple buttons and Rocket Money takes care of it. They can also negotiate bills on your behalf and analyze your spending habits to create a custom budget. Look, I think money is great, and you can save up to $740 per year if you use the app's premium features. Join the over 5 million members using Rocket Money today. Go to rocketmoney.com/summoningsalt or click the link in the description to get started for free. That's rocketmoney.com/summoningsalt to get started for free. Thanks again to Rocket Money for sponsoring this video. Okay, first question to get out of the way. Does this really count as a speedrun? Are you actually beating the game? Well, no, you're not actually reaching the end, defeating Bowser, and rescuing the princess. But if you reach the end of -3, the game does act as though you've beaten it. You're sent back to the title screen, and once there, you can play Second Quest and select the world with the B button. These are both features that are only unlocked once you beat the game. So, as to whether you're really beating the game, that's up to you to decide. And if you'd like to argue about it in the comments section below, please feel free. But either way, it makes for a sick speedrun. It may seem trivial, but the saga that's about to unfold is anything but. And the origins of the category come from the year 2013, when a game collector named Oatax purchased a Famicom Disk System. He had seen tool-assisted speedruns of minus world ending from players named Phil and Happy Lee, and decided it would be fun to try it in real time. So on September 9th, 2013, Oatax performed the first ever speedrun of minus world ending, clocking in at 2 minutes and 45 seconds. There are only 5 levels in this speedrun: 1-1, 1-2, -1, -2, and finally -3. So you have 5 levels to optimize as much as you possibly can. Here's how Oatax went about doing that. In 1-1, he ran ahead and picked up a mushroom. This was so he could do the minus world clip later, which is only possible with Big Mario. He quickly finished the level and entered 1-2, where he picked up a fire flower. This let him clear enemies out of his way so he could make it through the stage while barely hesitating. Finally, it was time to go to the minus world. He came to a stop on top of the pipe, then carefully crouch jumped into the corner. For details on why this works and why the Minus World even exists, check out this video from Cosmic. But basically, Mario lands on a specific part of this block where he can stand. After that, he's able to run right through the wall. O-Attacks did that, killed the Piranha Plant, and then was off to the Minus World. Level -1 is pretty strange. It's like level 1-3, except underwater with enemies from a castle level, complete with Princess Toadstool and Bowser. It makes for a convoluted looking stage, but the speedrun is pretty straightforward here. O-Attacks simply dodged enemies and swam to the end, reaching the underwater flagpole. Next up is -2, a stage identical to 7-3 from the main game. O-Attacks had to run across the bridges while being careful to avoid flying Cheep Cheeps and Koopas. Sometimes Cheep Cheeps can get in the way, but O-Attacks handled it beautifully and beat the level while barely hesitating. And now for level -3. This one is really weird. It's an underground version of the 4-4 castle level with underwater enemies like bloopers. Now normally, 4-4 is a maze where you have to take the correct path. If you take one of the top paths, you loop back to the start. But in -3, that pattern isn't active, and the top paths instead lead to a wall. There's no getting through that. So, O-Attacks had to navigate his way to the bottom, then he was home free to run to the end and touch the axe. That's all it took. 5 levels and O-Attacks was done in 2 minutes and 45 seconds. For the first world record of a category, this was already looking pretty optimized. He barely slowed down anywhere, never got hit by anything, and that's why it still stands as the record today. Just kidding. He beat this run literally the very next day. On September 10th, O-Attacks improved his record by 3 seconds, taking it from a 2:45 to a 2:42. The time save came from a couple spots. He grabbed the power-ups just the same, but at the end of 1-2, he came to a stop and did the Minus World clip much quicker. It was enough to save him 5 frame rules. What's a frame rule? Well, last year a YouTuber named Beryllium, or something like that, tried to explain it, but he used bus skip, which is obviously cheating. So, here's a proper explanation from the reigning record holder. Super Mario Bros. Has something called the frame rule system. The game can only send you to the next level every 21 frames, or every 0.35 seconds. This amount of time is known as a frame rule. So in each level, you can only gain or lose time in frame rules, increments of 0.35 seconds. Imagine a bus at the end of every level that leaves every 0.35 seconds. If you miss one, you'll have to wait for the next one. So that means if you want to save time in a level, you have to be fast enough to catch the next bus, or you won't gain anything. O-Attacks did the Minus World clip fast enough that he gained an entire 5 frame rules over his previous run. -1 and -2 were completely identical to the record, so entering -3, he had exactly a 1.75 second lead. But in -3, the frame rule system doesn't apply, since timing ends immediately upon touching the axe. So every frame saved or lost counts in this level. And O-Attacks had a brilliant new strategy. Instead of navigating through the maze, he just jumped up top and ran on the ceiling, all the way to the end of the level. Simple, but effective, and it saved another 1.5 seconds. That was 2 records in 2 days for O-Attacks. For the pioneer of real-time Minus World ending speedruns, he'd done an excellent job. No mistakes, some clever strategies, and fantastic execution, culminating in a time of 2 minutes and 42 seconds. How much more could you really save across just 5 levels? Well, more than you might think. Just a month later, O-Attacks' run was beaten by an entire 5 seconds. The runner's name was Saradoc. A year later, he'd go on to take the any% record from Andrew G. But now, in October 2013, he was just starting out. And he had some ideas on how to improve the Minus World record. The first idea was quite simple. There was no need to pick up the Fire Flower. While you need to be big to do the Minus World clip, the Fire Flower is just for clearing out enemies. so there was no actual need to pick it up. Seradoc's second idea came from Happy Lee's TAS of the category, a strange trick at the end of -1. It looks like this. This is the full flagpole glitch. To end the level in Super Mario Bros., Mario first has to touch a flagpole and then touch an invisible block in the castle to trigger the timer countdown. First the flagpole, then the block. But in certain scenarios, it's possible to clip into this block and grab the flagpole at a lower height, then bounce out of it and contact this block instead. It instantly triggers the timer countdown, with no need to slide down and walk all the way to the castle block. Now, you can't just jump and grab the flagpole this low. You need very specific conditions for this to work. The most famous example is in 8-2, where you can bounce off a bullet bill just low enough to grab the flagpole in the block. Here, it's commonly referred to as the bullet bill glitch. But as it turns out, it also works with swimming physics. By doing a frame-perfect A-press on the way to the pole, you'll clip into the block and perform the full flagpole glitch. And the full flagpole glitch saves 8 frame rules. This was too good to pass up. Seradoc began implementing it in his runs, and on October 21st, he had a run to -1 that nailed it. But then... this is the one problem with the full flagpole glitch. You have to land immediately next to the flagpole and swim, or else the timer ticks over to a 3 and you get 3 fireworks to waste a second. Seradoc landed just a tiny bit too far left and it cost him a second. But it still netted him time overall, and when combined with the fire flower skip, he achieved a huge new world record of 2:37. A few days later, Seradoc came back and played the same run but skipped the fireworks in -1. The final time was 2:35.99. Then, the category settled down for several months, as most players focused on the bigger name categories Any% and Warpless. But in 2015, Seradoc came back to -world ending. He managed to squeeze out one more frame roll in 1-2, and did a clip in -3 to get to the ceiling faster. These tricks saved about 0.7 seconds combined, and his final time was 2:35.27. By the time 2016 came around, -world ending had essentially been the same for years. Seradoc was still the record holder, and there was no obvious time save remaining. Yet, while that category had been stagnant, the rest of the game had been undergoing a transformation. A player came along and began laying waste to Super Mario Bros. Records, achieving times in all categories that were previously thought impossible. This player's name was Darbian.
We're all just young boys on Twitch.
That April, he set a legendary world record in Any%.
Oh my gosh!
A few months later, he got the Warpless record too.
Yes!
Eventually, he set records in the All-Stars version as well.
Done.
In 2016, Darbian was the premier player of Super Mario Bros. By that November, he had 4 out of 5 main category records. The only one he was missing was the -world ending, still held by Seradoc. Darbian didn't particularly care about this record, but he was also so close to a leaderboard sweep. If he could beat the -world record, then he would hold all 5 world records.
We have Any%, we did it. Congrats. Warpless, we did it. Congrats. Any% All-Stars, we did it. Congrats. Warpless All-Stars, we did it. Congrats.
So, Darbian began practicing. Only problem was there wasn't much time to save over Seradoc's record. He hadn't left anything on the table, and there were no obvious mistakes. But Darbian eventually identified one spot where he could save time, on the axe grab at the end of -3. Seradoc grabbed it 1 frame too far forward, meaning timing stopped a frame later than necessary. If Darbian landed on the first frame of the axe, he could beat the world record by 1 frame. It wasn't much, but it would be enough to get the leaderboard sweep, and that's all Darbian wanted. On November 30th, he had a run with a fast clip in 1-2. Then in -1, he got the full flagpole glitch.
Got it.
After finishing -2, Darbian was tied with the record. Just one more level to go. If he could get the wall clip and then get a better axe grab, he might be able to get the record here.
We tied it. Unless we got a better axe grab.
Darbian went to frame count the run. He looked at the axe grab, and it turned out he did indeed save that one frame. New world record, 235.26. Darbian was the undisputed champ of Super Mario Bros. He officially had the 5 out of 5 leaderboard sweep, and the minus world ending record seemed to be approaching the absolute limit. So now we were at a breaking point. Darbian got all frame rolls that Saradoc got and saved the frame on the axe. Where do we even go from here? Well, in 2017, that question was answered, because longtime runner Andrew G started looking at minus world ending. Andrew G is a Mario legend. He's best known for holding the game's most prestigious record, any percent, for 7 years straight. By 2017 though, he'd been out of it for a while, having passed the torch to Saradoc and Darbian. But the game still piqued his interest from time to time, and now, minus world ending had his attention. As good as Darbian's run was, Andrew wondered if there was more he could get out of it. Perhaps these 5 levels weren't actually perfect, specifically level 1-2. Darbian picked up the mushroom in this level, and its only purpose was to make the minus world clip possible. If only you could go to the minus world as Small Mario. You could skip the mushroom altogether and save over a second. Well, Andrew G knew there actually was one way to do this. This is the 1-2 pipe clip. This was first used in a 2004 task by Mana. It skips the mushroom and is the fastest way to get to the minus world. And the problem is it wasn't humanly possible. When you're running at a wall, it's possible to be barely outside it on one frame and barely inside it on the next. The game responds by ejecting you out in the opposite direction that you're moving. But if you switch to left on the D-pad once entering the wall, the game instead tries to eject you out to the right, effectively sucking you further into the wall. That's the basis of how the pipe clip works. You have to slow to walking speed just before the pipe, press jump for just one frame so you don't go too high, then tap left at the correct moment to clip inside and eventually resume running. It was just too hard to string all that together, so real-time runners barely bothered looking at it. That is, until Happy Leap hosted a Human Theory speedrun of 1-2 that involved doing the clip from a save state. He clearly showed what inputs needed to be done, and while it was difficult, it was enough to make Andrew G think that maybe it was possible. And it certainly would be worth trying. The 1-2 pipe clip saves an entire 8 frame rolls, although you give some of that back in -3 by not being able to do the ceiling clip. If Andrew could hit this in a run, he could blow the door off the record, but actually hitting it was much easier said than done. After hundreds of tries, Andrew finally managed to pull it off, entering the pipe to the minus world. He was now nearly 3 seconds ahead of the record. With a lead this big, Andrew could afford to play the rest of the run super safe. So in -1, he set up the full flagpole glitch very carefully by walking up to the pole. It cost a second, but he was still ahead overall. And in -3, he lost another second by having to navigate the maze normally. That still left him with a small lead.
I don't know. World record?
Yes, Andrew, a world record. 234.80. This is exactly what Andrew was looking for. He built a big lead with the pipe clip, then bled just enough time to still beat Darbian. There was a decent amount of time save possible in -1 and -3, but just getting the 1-2 pipe clip in a run was hard enough, and Andrew decided he was done for now. He moved on, and the minus world record stayed put at 234. A few months passed with nobody trying to challenge Andrew's record. The main reason was the pipe clip. Even though it was only a minute into the run, it was still out of reach for most players. Few could do what Andrew G could do. But if someone else could pull it off, then improving the rest of the run wouldn't be too hard. It all came down to one question: who else could get the pipe clip? Well, in August 2017, 4 months after Andrew G's 234, a couple new contenders emerged. They weren't record holders like Andrew, but they were very good players in their own right. And most importantly, after much practice, they were able to build a little bit of consistency with the pipe clip. Their names were Merrick and Solo Q. Merrick was a runner who specialized in side categories, like Beat Stage 5-4 and All Coin Heavens. Solo Q was a top 10 any percent runner, with a respectable personal best of 457. Neither one had Andrew's speedrunning resume, yet they both felt like they could take his minus world ending record. Their plan was to match Andrew's run, but with the faster full flagpole glitch. If either of them could pull this off, they would get the first ever 233 in minus world ending history. By mid-August, Solo Q had moved into second and Merrick was in third. Both were making progress. The world record was within reach. On August 20th, Merrick had a run that lost a frame rule in 1-1, then had a slow 1-2 clip to lose another frame rule. Still, when he got the fast full flagpole glitch, he gained 3 frame rules. He was now ahead of Andrew. This was a guaranteed world record as long as he didn't do anything dumb in -3. New world record. Andrew G had been dethroned. The final 3 levels of the run were amazing. The only time save potential was in World 1. Weeks later, Solo Q aimed to pick up that time. He got the 1-1 frame rule, then a fast clip in 1-2. Now, if he could hit the full flagpole glitch, he'd be on 233 pace.
Dude, is this actually it? Oh my god.
-2 went well, and although he lost a few frames in -3, Solo Q still closed out the run strongly.
World record.
This run combined the World 1 from Andrew's run with every frame rule in the minus world. It was, from Solo Q's perspective, essentially perfect. The only mistake he made was a few frames lost in the turnaround of -3. A while later, Merrick tried to save that time. He managed to match Solo Q's pace, but then lost the exact same amount of time in -3. He tied him. The world record was now 233.73, held by both Merrick and Solo Q. Mission accomplished for both players. As so often occurs in speedrunning, this peak of minus world ending competition was followed by a valley of inactivity. Over on the other categories, the any percent world record had just changed hands again, going from Darbian to longtime record contender Cosmic.
Yes!
This wasn't Cosmic's first record. He'd held both the any percent and warpless records on multiple occasions. And now, after getting yet another world record, a third category started to pique his interest.
This is perfect timing, by the way, because today in the mail I got my Famicom disc version of this game. It has the different minus world, so I'll be doing minus world ending world record attempts.
This was gonna be good. No disrespect to Merrick or Solo Q, both great speedrunners, but Cosmic was a different beast. Time and time again, he'd beaten everyone else and risen to the very top of some quite competitive leaderboards. He was probably the absolute best Super Mario Bros. Player on the planet. Now, he was about to see what he could do to minus world ending. And even though there's only 5 levels, Cosmic had a few tricks up his sleeve. The first trick was in 1-2. To get to the minus world, instead of using the pipe clip, Cosmic planned to do a wall clip. This looks like it shouldn't be possible. It all has to do with Mario's subpixel value. Mario visually moves in pixels, but his positioning updates more often than that. Depending on Mario's sub-pixel value, his exact position slightly changes, and it alters how much he can clip into walls. Tiny things change his sub-pixels. When you press B, when you press left and right, and how long, practically anything when you're not at full speed. So, runners need to find sub-pixel setups to make wall clips possible. And the setup for the 1-2 wall clip was found by someone named John Smith. Just kidding. It was found by XX420BlazeIt XX. BlazeIt's setup was simple. You push B on the correct frame when starting the level. This always sets up your subpixels to make the wall clip possible. The wall clip was easier overall than the pipe clip, so Cosmic could get more runs to the minus world. Another trick he planned to go for? The flagpole glitch. This is a trick commonly used in top any percent runs, but hadn't yet been brought to minus world ending. By doing a precise setup discovered by Sockfolder, you can clip into the base of the flagpole and grab the pole lower than normal. This triggers a condition in the game where the flag doesn't come down. You save one frame rule by skipping that animation. The flagpole glitch can be used in 1-1 and -2. It's similar to -1's full flagpole glitch, but is harder and doesn't save as much time. Speaking of the full flagpole glitch, Cosmic had a small improvement there too. He switched to holding down and right while approaching the flagpole. This made him slow down less when touching the ground, giving him a bigger window to land and still avoid fireworks. That's 3 new tricks Cosmic could use: down plus right on the -1 flagpole, the 1-2 wall clip, and the flagpole glitch in 1-1 and -2. This all had major implications on the run. Here's a visual history of the minus world ending record up to now. You can see how runners chipped away over time until plateauing in the 233 range. But now, these new strats kinda changed everything. Thanks to flagpole glitch and a potential 1-2 time save, the human limit was a mid 232. There was a long road ahead to actually get there, but Cosmic could get it started right now. He got to work trying to implement as much as he could.
No way that just happened. I jumped, holy cow. Good enough. Good enough. Good enough.
It took him just 3 days. The record was now a half second lower. The game didn't even know what hit it. Cosmic was way ahead on the leaderboards. Merrick saw what Cosmic had done. He was still interested in competing for the record, but the problem was the flagpole glitch. It's an extremely hard trick, with multiple frame-perfect inputs and more. Cosmic had years of experience going for it in any percent runs, so it wasn't too hard for him to implement in minus world ending. But Merrick struggled with it. Although he could match Cosmic everywhere else, the flagpole glitch was different. He practiced the trick, yet couldn't build consistency with it. But there was another way Merrick could save time. If he went for the pipe clip and did it really fast, it could save a frame rule over the wall clip. That eliminated the need for the flagpole glitch. This was Merrick's path to beating Cosmic, despite playing from behind and not being a record holder. He'd need all of his capable frame rules and a great -3. In March, Merrick started whittling down his personal best, slowly closing in on the record. And on the 28th, he found himself in -3, tied with the record. It would all come down to the turnaround. That was just about perfect. It saved 4 frames and was a new world record. Cosmic himself was quite impressed. He'd flat out been beaten. But Cosmic knew he could still improve it with flagpole glitch. If he went for it in 1-1 and -2, he could even afford to lose the 1-2 frame rule. That August, that's the type of run Cosmic went for. First, he tied Merrick to the frame, then he got a very low 233 before finally getting the world's first 232.
Perfect. Perfect speedrun.
Cosmic now had both flagpole glitches, the pipe clip, the full flagpole glitch, and a fast -3. It was now really hard for anyone else to compete with this. Only someone with a main category world record could pull off a 232 in Minus World ending. Cosmic was just flat out the best Super Mario Bros. Player, and as long as that stayed true, the Minus World ending record was all his.
$455! Oh my gosh, is it record? That might be record too.
This is Sumwes, and on October 22nd, 2018, he took Cosmic's Any Percent record. Sumwes was a gamer. He'd been battling for this record for months now, finally pulling ahead and cementing the top spot on the leaderboard. He had all the skills Cosmic had, and now, after taking his Any Percent record, he was ready to go after Cosmic's Minus World ending record too. Now, here's the thing. The only difference between the record and the human limit was one more frame rule in 1-2. Cosmic played the pipe clip safe by slowing to walking speed early. If Sumwes went faster, he'd save 0.35 seconds. And that was it. The record got all other frame rules and a perfect turnaround in -3. It was really quite simple for Sumwes. There was only one improvement to make. His perfect run would be a 232.48. Wes started playing for the record, and quickly he got himself a 233.5, with time losses in 1-1, 1-2, and -3. Still, not a bad result for one day of work. He kept going, and minutes later, he got on another run.
And I get it. I don't know how.
Here we are, -3 on perfect pace. If Wes could play a good -3, then this was gonna be it.
Is this it? Is this gonna be it? With the cat troll?
It was over. Sumwes had just gotten a 232.48. All frame rules were matched, and -3 was perfect. The congratulations poured in as Sumwes celebrated with his cat. The human limit was officially reached, and this was the end of the Minus World ending world record. At least, as it was currently understood. While the boundaries of the human limit seemed to be set in stone, maybe they could be adjusted. If a human viable time save was found, then the human limit would be lowered. We just have to find a new way to save time. But as we know, there's only 5 levels to search through. Is it actually possible to go faster in any of them? Well, let's see what players currently did. In 1-1, players ran through without stopping, then did a flagpole glitch. No possible time save there. In 1-2, players mostly ran through without stopping. They technically slowed down a tiny bit for the pipe clip, but not much. There's no quicker way to get through the wall to the Minus World. In -1, players swam through without stopping, then did a full flagpole glitch. No way to improve over that. In -2, players ran through without stopping, then did a flagpole glitch. Obviously, no improvements possible. That left just one level, -3. This level does have the turnaround. You have to backtrack, so skipping that would save time. The problem, of course, is taking the other paths leads you to a wall. If only you could just go through the wall. You know, something like this. Well hey, there's an idea. This is similar to the wall clip method in 1-2. You can partially land just inside the wall, then repeatedly jump to fully enter it. Now, for years, this trick was known but seemed out of the question. Players jumped at the wall but never made it inside. But in 2018, it was 420 Blazeit to the rescue. He found a subpixel setup. By buffering jump to start the level, then pressing B while Mario falls off the last step, you'll be able to clip inside the wall. It wasn't easy, but this setup made it a viable trick. It saved about half a second. The human limit had just been lowered again. If a player could get all the flagpole glitches, the pipe clip, all the frame rules possible, and then hit the -3 wall clip, they could just barely get a 231. That's what SumWest decided to go for. The first step was making it back to -3 tied with the record, which wasn't easy. He poured hundreds of attempts in, trying to make every trick line up. Finally, a few weeks later, he had another chance. As he entered -3, if he could now hit the wall clip, the 231 would be his. His game crashed. -3 is pure evil. But he couldn't stop now. He'd come so close. SumWest kept trying, and his attempt counter really started to pile up. A couple weeks later, he did finally get the wall clip on a run that lost the frame rule in 1-1 for a small record. But a few hundred attempts later, SumWest had another golden chance. He picked up the 1-1 frame rule, then maintained his pace over the next 3 levels. Another chance at the 231, if he could hit the wall clip.
Yes, dude! 231!
That was it. SumWest had done it again. As soon as there was a chance to match the human limit, he was all over it. A run with all frame rules and the wall clip. Now, there is a tiny gap between this run and the human limit, and that's because -3 doesn't operate on the frame rule system. Every frame counts in this level, and while SumWest got a fast wall clip, it was technically possible to save a few more frames here. Depending on how you jump and the way you mash, it's possible for the wall to suck you in a bit smoother. So technically Wes's run was marginally improvable. The run was roughly perfect, not literally perfect. Over the next several months, while there was a lot of Minus World ending activity, nobody could compete with SumWest. By early 2019, 3 runners had tied Cosmic's second place run: GT Ace, Royal T, and the former record holder Merrick. The main difference with these 4 runs is that they didn't go for the -3 wall clip, except for Merrick, who, as we know, didn't do flagpole glitches. Unless these guys were willing to implement a hard trick at the very end of the run, they wouldn't be able to catch SumWest. Who would have the guts to go for it? Then all of a sudden in January, the competition picked up again, and someone decided they wanted to shave off those last few frames.
Here we go.
This made sense. Cosmic had competed with Wes before, maybe he could do it again. And over the past couple years, he'd gotten even better at flagpole glitches. This time, he'd have to go for the perfect pipe clip and then an even faster wall clip in -3. It was tough, but doable for a player of his caliber. Alright, Cosmic, let's see what you can do.
Why? I don't know the problem. Okay, I get it. It's nice when you get a second shot at life. No. It was so close. It was so close. He just didn't get running speed.
This would have been it, but he couldn't build running speed before jumping out of the wall. It ended up costing him the record. Shortly after this, 420 Blazeit came back and made yet another huge discovery. It was a faster subpixel setup for the wall clip. You do a full jump off the last 2 frames of the block, then let go of B in the air and repress it the frame after landing. It was harder than the old setup, but saved an entire 8 frames. This pushed the human limit to the 231.8 range, and raised the stakes for competition. Then, another of the tied runners decided to try making a move, GT Ace. GT Ace had never held the any percent record, but he still had a pretty incredible track record, being the former warpless world record holder. After setting a personal best only 3 frames off SumWest's record, he managed to hit the faster subpixel setup in a run. Now, if he could get a good clip, this would be a new record. It wasn't a great clip, but thanks to the 8 frames saved on the setup, he wound up beating SumWest by 1 frame, just a tiny bit closer to the human limit. It was around this time that yet another runner started going for the minus world ending record. He was an up-and-comer with a lot of talent. If he could get this, it would be his first ever Super Mario Bros. World record. This runner's name was Niftsky.
Like the normal minus world, it's an infinite looping water section.
Niftsky felt that with Blazit's faster setup and a good clip, a time around 231.8 was realistic, but he'd have to beat out players like Cosmic and GT Ace to do it, both tried and true record holders. Still, Niftsky's flagpole glitch and pipe clip consistency was pretty good. He just had to make it to -3 with a chance, and on February 11th, he'd get his shot.
Yes! Please, dude. Please. Wait. Dude, that was it! But I hit the timer! That was it! That had to be it! That had to be it! Oh my god!
This was an amazing wall clip. When combined with the faster setup, it was a big cut off the record. Although he stopped his timer early, the run was quickly retimed as a 231.80, once again roughly matching the human limit. And Niftsky didn't stop there. Later, Blazit found yet another faster subpixel setup that shaved 4 frames off the human limit. Guess what Niftsky did next?
Oh my god, was that it? There's no way.
Other runners tried to compete with Niftsky. Cosmic, GT Ace, and Scrimzian all had runs that got the wall clip on pace. But time and time again, they were just a bit too slow. And instead, it was Niftsky finding faster setups and getting the wall clips.
Oh my god! Yes! Yes! Oh my god!
By late 2020, Niftsky had taken the time down to 231.65. And this time, the human limit was actually solidified. It had been slightly lowered recently because of faster setups, but now, Niftsky was doing a fast acceleration to start the level and a fast wall clip. You couldn't go any quicker. Combine that with all frame rules being matched up to -3, and Niftsky had taken the run to its actual human limit, 231.65. So, maybe we have to go past the human limit. This is the TAS of minus world ending, 230.10. It represents a theoretical perfect speedrun. A TAS is created by using save states, slowdown, even frame by frame, letting you do the exact moves you want through the whole game. A TAS lets you do tricks that are too hard for humans to perform in real time. The difference between Niftsky's record and the TAS is just over a second and a half. Where on earth can you save that much time? Well, it's all from 2 levels, -2 and -3. The TAS saves a few frames in -3 from a perfect clip and fast accelerations, and in -2, it saves an entire 4 frame rules. How? Well, by doing this. This is the -2 full flagpole glitch. It is the hardest trick in the TAS by an enormous margin, discovered by TASer Happy Lee in 2009. The end result is similar to the -1 full flagpole glitch, but setting it up is a different story. It was hard enough that real-time runners didn't even bother looking at it for years. But the 4 frame rules of time save eventually became too tantalizing. In 2019, former record holder Merrick did some research to find a setup, and this nightmare chain of inputs is what he found. You have to jump on this specific frame for exactly 6 frames, let go of B in the air, and then repress it on this exact frame after landing. Then, after holding right, you must switch to holding left on the very next frame, a nearly impossible task on an original D-pad. Then you let go of left and switch back to right 2 frames later, and finally switch back to left once more to enter the wall. You run to the flagpole, and on the correct frame, you press jump for exactly 1 frame. If all this is done correctly, you'll clip into the base of the flagpole and complete the full flagpole glitch. Merrick practiced all this for months. Eventually, he was able to get the clip in real time from a save state, but it was way too inconsistent to be considered for runs. Besides, at that point in 2019, the world record wasn't as optimized. So, runners shelved the trick until they really needed it. Well, a couple years later, that time had come. Nifsky had run out of time saves, and had to start looking at the -2 clip. Luckily, in the past year, there had been some developments. Kriller37 found a slightly better setup. It avoided the awkward 6-frame jump and made the clip a little easier, but added in a frame-perfect down plus right press. And Nifsky himself found a visual cue to help with the setup. It was still an insanely hard trick, but not quite as insane as it was a year ago. Just enough to give him hope that maybe he could hit it in a run eventually and get a shot at -3. After extensive practice, Nifsky decided that it was time. He was going to go for -2 FFPG in attempts. And he had a game plan for how to do so. Since the trick was so hard but saved so much time, he was going to take other tricks out of the run, at least for now. Later, once he got a world record with -2 FFPG, he'd slowly add the other tricks back into the run. So, for now, he decided to skip both the 1-1 flagpole glitch and the -3 clip. That let him maximize his tries at the -2 FFPG. Over the following weeks, Nifsky did hundreds of attempts. Many made it to -2, but none got the FFPG. If he could land it once, he'd be home free in -3. But even that was too much to ask. The trick was just too hard. Until one day, in January 2021.
Finally! Holy cow! Come on, finish this! Don't choke. This is the only part we don't have to choke, and this is record. Yes! Grab the axe. Let's go! 231.4! Yes!
At long last, Nifsky had hit the -2 FFPG. The record was taken to a place once considered completely out of the question. This is what speedrunners do. They make the impossible possible, and the term human limit becomes meaningless. Now, Nifsky had a new task in front of him. Add back in the other tricks, and make the world record literally perfect. And with artificial limitations out of the way, there was nothing stopping him.
Yes! Yes! Let's go! Is that it? Yes! 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 Yes!
Years of playing, thousands of attempts building his skills, and Nifsky has brought the record just 7 frames from perfection. Over that time, Nitsky became by far the best Super Mario Bros. Player in the world. He now holds all main category records, some of them by relatively huge margins. But even he's not sure if the final 7 frames in Minus World ending will ever be saved. 2 of those frames come from faster methods of acceleration. The other 5 come from the clip itself. You need a precise angle to save a jump in the wall, frame-perfect mashing, and a perfect right repress out of the clip. A perfect stage -3 has never been done before, let alone at the end of a perfect paced run. But who knows, maybe one day the limits will change again. All these runners, all their efforts, have all built up to this. The story of how speedrunners completely mastered a category, and their chase for a never-ending human limit. Thanks for watching. For a behind-the-scenes look at how I made this video and storylines that I couldn't include, join my Patreon page. I only charge when I upload a video. Thanks.